Today, we're blending sweetness and sophistication to bring you high-end fall decor ideas all on a budget. I'm Melissa. This is CraftCrumbs. Thank you for joining me. I'm using a wood blank from Amazon that came in a pack of 6. It has a raised edge, sort of like a shadow box. I'm going to paint this as well as a Dollar Tree palette in the color Maize. Next, I'm going to dry brush on the color Hazelnut and finish with a dry brushing of white acrylic paint, and I'm doing this on both pieces as well. I'm giving it a light sanding to remove any texture. This removes any layered paint effect that might be visible. Now that our painting is complete, we move on to the fun stuff. Using a scrapbook piece of paper, I'm going to cut out the shape of a heart. I'm just freehanding this. I didn't trace it first. It kind of goes back to those days in elementary art class where they teach you how to cut out a heart. I'm using this as a template and tracing the heart shape onto my palette. To create the vision I have for this, I'm using some of these curled up paper leaf cutouts from Hobby Lobby. And starting with the edges first, I'm going to fill in this entire heart with those leaves. I don't want any leaf overlap outside of the heart, so I'm going to take each leaf and just lay it down and draw with my pencil where I need to cut it off. All I'm doing here is holding the paper leaf up against the edge, drawing where the overlap is, and this will guide me as to where to cut. When I then trim off what I don't need of that leaf, it'll bump right up against the edge of the heart that we traced onto our palette. I'm only gluing the edge of the leaf that meets the line and leaving the other side of the leaf open. I'm demonstrating this with 3 leaves, and then I'll jump ahead. Thank you for taking a piece of your day out to spend with me. Be sure to stick around because at the end, I'm using a technique that's been around for decades, but I've never heard of before. I'm erasing any pencil marks that are still showing, and then I'll start to fill in the heart with the rest of my leaves. And I'm going to kind of vary the colors so I don't have too many of the same colors next to each other. Because we only glued down the outside edge of the leaves framing the heart, we're able to tuck in additional leaves underneath those. I'm going to use my heat gun to remove any glue string. It's kind of fun to watch because they dissipate right in front of you. I'm going to set this piece aside for a moment and go back to the first. I need to add a hanger and wanted to do this in a very clean way. I'm going to drill a small hole on the outside of 2 of the corners. This is where I'll insert my braided jute rope to use as a hanger. I love this braided jute rope for adding a high-end hanger to any piece, and I have this in my Amazon store, which is linked in the description for you. The only thing left to do is glue the palette to the inside of the shadow box and paint the back. Here is what it looks like complete. I don't know if there's a better way to say I love fall. Let me know in the comments what you think about this first DIY. This next project is a must-see. I picked up this unfinished wood tray from Hobby Lobby as well as this pack of coasters. The coasters are different colors only because I attempted to start another project with them and change my mind. I'm going to take both pieces outside and give it a coat of Crayon chalk finish spray paint in the color Ivory. After letting these pieces dry for about 15 minutes, I'm ready to work on the tray. You can see that I only painted the inside portion of this tray, but I'm going to change that a little later. I have these 2 pieces of rice paper that came as a part of a collection that I picked up on Etsy. I will link this in the description box for you so you can get your hands on it as well. I started off using this watercolor pen filled with water to try to draw my lines and pull the sheets of paper apart. But these things almost never work for me, so I'm dipping the brush head into water that I have set off to the side, and that works perfectly fine. I'm going to take these individual pieces and Mod Podge them to the inside of the tray, and I'm holding on to my scraps because we will use them in just a moment. I'm going to use chalk paint in the color Cashew for these next steps. Cashew matched what was inside that can perfectly, so if that's all you have and like the color of this, you can use that for the entire tray. I decided I wanted the rest of the tray to match the inside, so I'm going to begin to paint it now. I'm also going to try to remove the demarcation line between the paper and the wood inside the tray by stippling on that same cashew paint around the edges. This gives it more of a paint inlay appearance. Moving on to the coasters, I'm using a 3rd sheet of rice paper from that same collection. I didn't capture what the sheet looked like before I pulled it apart, but it had 6 circle images of these cute little wildlife animals. I cut them out with my scissors and I'm going to Mod Podge them to the tops of these coasters. Remember those scrap pieces of rice paper we saved? I'm going to Mod Podge those onto the little wood basket that holds the coasters. Using more of those scraps, I'm adding an element of surprise to the inside and the back side of this piece. I tend to wipe back some of the Mod Podge to allow it to dry a little faster and also give it a smooth surface without any clumps. Once everything is dry, I will seal it in with this Rust-Oleum Universal Clear top coat. If this doesn't steal your heart, I'm gonna wonder about you. It is so precious. Let me know in the comments what you think about this one. If these projects are fresh and right up your alley, give me a thumbs up and comment below. This kind of engagement lets YouTube know that the content is worthy of pushing out to other crafters like us. And don't be greedy now, share it with your friends. And lastly, if you haven't subscribed, please consider hitting that button right now. These next two projects are going to be unknown territory for me, but I was intrigued by bleeding tissue paper that I saw on Amazon, so I picked some up for this project. I found this pack of 3 different sized pumpkins at Hobby Lobby. This is a pretty big pack of tissue paper and it has several different colors, so I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Now, because I'm stubborn, I like to tackle things without first reading the instructions or learning how to do it, so you may see me trying a few different techniques here. I did actually look it up on YouTube after I completed these projects, and I can kind of point out which ones I think are correct. If you have any tips for me or others, please share them in the comments below. I have a feeling things are going to get messy, so I laid down a piece of paper towel and I'm ready to get started. I'm just ripping pieces of the bleeding paper off and placing it over the pumpkins. Then I'm going to brush over it with a generous amount of water. I did learn after the fact that you're really supposed to brush over the surface of whatever you're coating this stuff with before laying it down as well. I was feeling a little risque and decided to overlap some of the colors. My hope was that this would be an easy way to stain these pumpkins. Once these are dry, I'm going to take some of these leaves in this adorable little pack from Hobby Lobby and glue them to the pumpkins. And then I'll take some of the smaller pumpkins and glue them to the larger for a 4D result. I had this leaf that I pulled off of a larger leaf picked up from the Dollar Tree, and I tried to use the same technique on it using the red paper, and it just didn't take. You can see that it's barely on there. So I decided to try to experiment a little further and Mod Podge one of these sheets right onto the leaf. And then I pulled away the excess. I wanted to add a hanger to this, so I'm poking a hole with my crocodile, and this is only the second or third time I'm using it. I have never used it on wood before, so the hole is a little off center. And on my second try to punch a second hole, I realized that there's a tiny little viewfinder on the top, which I wish I would have seen earlier. But that goes back to me not reading directions before I start something. But all was well, it turned out beautiful. I was able to add the hanger. To embellish the leaf, I'm going to use, you guessed it, Hobby Lobby tulle flowers. I really did enjoy using this bleeding tissue paper, and for that reason, it has made the cut. You can find it in my Amazon store, where I only offer products that I have personally used and recommend. I'm going to finish off the leaf and the pumpkins by giving it a coat of black paint on the backside. Here are the pumpkins complete. Look how sweet they are. You know you could sell these and people would buy them. And here is the completed leaf. And I think that this turned out very sweet as well. You may see me using this instead of paint in future projects. Let me know in the comments what you think about the pumpkins and leaf done with bleeding tissue paper. Here is a look back at what we created today. You are so awesome for staying until the end. Thank you. I cannot wait to read your comments and see which one of these is your favorite. Let me know what you would have done differently, and let me know, have you used bleeding tissue paper yourself? If you're in the mood for more DIYs like this, check out this video next. And until next time, friend, don't forget to craft what you love.